Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 31st of March and my name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire Hindu newspaper analysis and the explainer PDF that I will be using here. You can download from the PDF from the Telegram channel. Now, first of all, let's see the overview of the entire newspaper in order to understand that which articles will be important in the today's newspaper. So here you can see the page number 1 and the first article, Imran Khan loses majority after key partner sides with opposition. Now the article is not relevant for our examination. Fine. So the Prime Minister of Pakistan has lost its majority and now the new Prime Minister will be chosen and the opposition leader Shehbaz Sharif will be the next PM in the Pakistan. However, this political crisis was going on for a considerable time now, and now it has further been culminated. No need to go too much in detail. Modi moots free trade agreement for BIMSTEC. So guys, we have seen that the BIMSTEC virtual meet was to happen, and in this direction we'll see that what are the key takeaways from this meet that has happened. Then after that, the other articles not very much important with respect to our examination. Please don't go into that. Then guys, in the city section also the regional issues, fine, etc. have been mentioned. Moving on, the advertisements, nothing you need to see. Now guys, further moving on in this particular direction, we reach to the editorial page. Now in the editorial page, the first article that we can see here, it is talking about the India's food response as Vasudev Kutumbakam. So the article has appreciated that how India has played a very important role in food security, ensuring food security, and what other countries can learn from India. Then the next article, the parliamentary bill and the ICI needs to take note of. So this particular bill is talking about that recently a bill with respect to strengthening the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, it has been proposed. Now guys, the reforms into the Institute of Chartered Accountants, etc. Now there are the technical and hairline details that are there, not relevant for our examination. No need to go into this particular article. Then identity and privacy. So this is the prisoners identification bill. Okay, so recently we have discussed the criminal procedure amendment bill that is coming. It has been discussed. We'll briefly be taking up this particular article. Then shifting sands. So guys, recent meet between the US and the allies such as the Israel, fine, Bahrain, etc. that had happened. Fine, the meet has been discussed here. We'll discuss the issues. Then explaining Sri Lanka's economic crisis. So guys, we have seen that now the Sri Lanka is in economic crisis. Okay, and we have seen that the electro the basically the electricity outages are there, essential commodities the people are not having, food crises are going on. Now multiple times we have already discussed the economic crisis of Sri Lanka. Clear, I think 2-3 days back also we have seen the genesis of this economic crisis since 2010, race to the bottom for gig workers. So we'll see that what are the issues that the gig workers are facing. Now guys, the data point in the today's newspaper, fine, so basically it is talking about recent arrest of a journalist at a Mumbai airport because of in some money laundering case. Now the journalist had said that this particular case was made up for the journalist because the journalist was to make an address that how in India the journalists are being intimidated. So to stop that journalist, the journalist has been arrested. Now guys, we not need to go into this particular thing, but here we can just see the World Press Freedom Index. Now the World Press Freedom Index ranks the countries on the basis of the freedoms that the journalists have, whether the journalists are able to free to express their views or not. In this press freedom index, when we see the ranking of India, then the India's ranking has become poor over the years. India now rank 142 out of 180 countries. This is the 2021 rank. Okay, it has become very much bad. Moreover, it has been said that in 2021 specifically, the 7 journalists were imprisoned, which is highest into the last 3 decades. So on to the press freedom, India's rank is not very much good. Now moving on, we have the text and the context. First article is talking about the Assam-Meghalaya boundary dispute. We'll discuss this article. Then Facebook's cleanup attempt. Okay, so this article also will discuss. And then the deviancy amplification. So what this means, fine, we'll see it. Then the India Germany discusses the Ukraine situation. So basically the Germany's foreign and security advisor has visited India. Fine, we'll see that what are the takeaways from this particular thing. After that guys, moving on, the political news, etc., you don't need to go into this, nothing important has been given. Okay, moving on. Focus is on increasing scale scope of PMJAY. So basically, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So guys, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, it is a flagship scheme of the government of India where the 5 lakh rupees of health insurance is provided. 1.5 lakh health and wellness centers are to be prepared. Is it clear? So the focus is on increasing scale. So this is an interview by the R.S. Sharma, and he says that how this particular scheme is reaching the poor people. Then further moving on. After that, guys, into the world page again, the Sri Lanka's economic crisis. Fine, Russia-Ukraine war is going on. Okay, then guys, we have the business page. Onto the business page. Okay, the small saving rate, small savings accounts, interest rates. Okay, access to buy city, all such kind of things are given. With respect to exam, much importance of these articles is not there. These are evolving details, they will change and are not usually asked in our examination, so will nothing is important here. Then we have the sports page. So this is, guys, the overview of the entire newspaper, and now let's discuss the relevant articles one by one in the detail. Now, starting up with the GS quote. So today we'll take the quote from Benjamin Disraeli. He says that what is the purpose of power? Power has only one duty, and that duty is to secure the welfare of the people. Okay, so if power can secure the welfare of the people, the power will supposed to be the legitimate one, that will be the legitimate application of power. However, if the power is to terrorize the people, if power is being used for self-loathing, for self-gratification, that is the unethical use of power. Clear? So this is some idea that we can take and we can use it in our ethics paper number 4, ethics integrity aptitude GS paper number 4. Now moving on, taking up the first article. Now this article we have taken from the text and the context section, and this article we can use in GS paper number 1 social issues, GS paper number 1 social issues, as well as in certain essays having the sociological perspective onto the society. There also this deviancy amplification could be used. Now let's, guys, move on that what this article is talking about. So guys, this article is from the series of keyword articles. Now the keyword articles in the text and context are those articles in which some keyword will be taken and its genesis, its usage will be explained. So this deviancy amplification, first of all, guys, what do we mean by deviance? What do we mean by deviance? Now the deviance is an act where certain people or a certain group of people goes against the social norms, cultures of that particular society. Okay, now for example, in the civilized society, it is believed that everybody's freedom is to be respected, men and women are to be given equal treatment, but let's say some person going against that particular norm will be called as deviant. These people many times the deviance leads to committing of certain crime also. Clear? So the deviance going against society's norms and it leads to the commitment of a crime. Now, the deviancy amplification. This particular theory has provided that why certain people become deviant, why certain people do some kinds of crime. So they have said that deviance in society is because of excessive police control. Sometimes excessive police control is there. For example, guys, police is there, law is there to curtail your freedom. You cannot do a lot number of things as you want. Now when that excessive control comes, what happens? Certain people become uncomfortable, and certain people, in order to assert their independence, in order to assert their autonomy, goes against the norms, against the society, and go into deviance. Overreaction. Certain times, certain particular kind of things, on that there is overreaction by the society, by the general people, and because of that overreaction also certain people do that particular thing more often. It has been explained in this deviance compliance. Moreover, labeling by the mass media is also important. Labeling by the mass media. Now see, guys, this thing that today we see that the media had labeled certain type of people in a particular way. For example, often we see that the media labels a particular people from particular religion that they will behave in one type of a manner only. Certain religions have been called as peace loving religions. Certain people of religion have been labeled as that they will disturb the peace into the society or all such kind of things. So labeling is done onto certain people, and as the type of label you will fix into the same way the people will behave. Now this deviancy amplification, that certain groups become deviant because of all these particular factors, this particular theory was given by the Leslie T. Wilkins in the book Social Deviance. It has been provided. Now guys, basically an example has been given. Now it has been said that into the America, whenever in African American neighborhoods there is a particular incident such as a murder is there, robbery is there, or some such kind of thing is there, what happens in the America, it has been observed that the media, they say that this entire society, this entire neighborhood, or all the African American living here are of such nature, they are disturbing, they don't love peace, okay, they create such kind of ruckus. The entire society is shown in that particular kind of light, and because such kind of attribute is being labeled on that, they do more of such kind of things. It has been provided that at the same time within the USA, where the white neighborhoods are there, into the white neighborhoods, if a white person has committed a kind of a crime, even if he has committed a mass shooting, the media will say that no, it is not the problem of entire group, it is an individual problem. So what had happened, the deviancy amplification happens into the African Americans because the entire group has been labeled in one particular way. Now guys, there is one more associated and very much related kind of theory, that is the labeling theory, that has also been discussed. Now labeling theory, it provides that the people identify and behave in a way that how others reflect them. Now the labeling theory, you can just take one example. Suppose there is a small kid, he is a 15-year-old kid. Now you label this particular kid that you are a good boy, you are a good boy, he will behave in a good way. However, if you label a kid as noisy, disturbing, okay, he will behave in that particular way. So labeling theory provides that the people identified and behave in a way in which the labels are affixed onto them. So this is also a very aligned or a related theory to the deviancy amplification. Rather, you can call it as a subpart of it. Now this theory has been given by the sociologist Howard Becker. So you can use them, guys, the ones who are having the sociology optional, they can use all these particular theories liberally in their answer. Now guys, it has been provided that there are the critics also of this deviancy amplification theory. They say the labeling theory and deviancy amplification, there are the critics are there. They say that what they have done, they have provided that labeling leads to deviance. They have said that this is not correct thing. They had said that all the time labeling will not lead to deviance, or labeling will not make a particular person's identity. There are certain other factors also. For example, the socialization of that particular person, the socialization, how the cultural norms have been instilled into that particular person, how he has been socialized, how his family has socialized him, how his friends have socialized that particular person. So one's socialization, one's upbringing, okay, will also determine fine one's own attitudes, the opportunity that a person is getting. Okay, let's say guys that a person has been labeled as disturbing, but he had been given the good opportunities, he might not go in line with his label, he might become something else. So a person's upbringing, a person's socialization, a person's attitude, the opportunity that a person is getting will lead to a situation if which will determine that whether he will be becoming deviant or not. So this is something that has been provided. Now guys, it has been provided that, for example, there is an ex-con, okay, or let's say there was a person who was convicted earlier in some kind of a case. Now whether he will go back and will do criminal activities or not, it will not simply depend that whether he has been labeled or not, it will depend on some other factors also. For example, the societal ostracization. If he goes into the society does not accept him, society does not gives him opportunities to do good thing, he will be doing only one thing, that is a criminal activity. It depends on other opportunities also. For example, in jail he made a lot of criminal network. Now that criminal network will give him some different kind of opportunities, so he might go forward and do some more criminal criminal activities. So many other factors are also there. These are the critics that they say. However, in whole, this deviancy amplification can be used as a reference in many of our social as well as in ethics answers also. Now moving to the next article. Now this article we have taken again from the Hindu newspaper text and the context section, and it is talking about the Assam-Meghalaya boundary dispute resolution. Now this particular article, guys, can be seen with respect to the GS paper number 2 federal disputes. GS paper number 2 federal disputes, okay, as well as in GS paper number 3 boundary disputes between the different states. We can see it. Now guys, first of all, this particular article, why this article has come, because recently the government of Assam and Meghalaya under the leadership of the Home Minister of India had signed an agreement where the long pending boundary disputes between these two states have been solved. Now guys, this boundary dispute was nearly 50-year-old and now it has been solved, so it is a big thing that has happened. Now let's first of all understand that what this boundary dispute was, and then we'll see that how it got solved now. So guys, when we talk about the boundary dispute between the Meghalaya and Assam, you need to know a little bit of history. See, earlier Meghalaya was not a separate state. Meghalaya was the part of Assam only. It was in 1972 that a separate state of Meghalaya was formed out of the state of Assam. Now as these two different states were formed, obviously the boundaries are also to be decided. Fine, the respective area is to be decided. Now guys, basically what happened, the Assam Reorganization Meghalaya Act of 1969 was passed, okay, and in this particular act, basically the boundary between the Assam and Meghalaya was decided onto the basis of a 1951 committee. Okay, in 1951 already there was a committee which had temporarily defined that what will be the area of Meghalaya, what will be the region of Assam, though at that point of time Meghalaya as a separate state was not there. So this 1951 committee had laid down certain standards, and on that particular basis the boundary was disputed, the boundary was defined. Now guys, understand this particular picture here. Now in this picture we find that, okay, this is the Assam and this entire one is the Meghalaya. Now certain districts of the Meghalaya, 3 districts particularly, that is the Ribhoi, okay, 3 districts, that is the Ribhoi, then the Jaintia Hills, okay, East Jaintia Hills, okay, then there is the West Khasi Hills. So certain territories of these 3 districts, okay, it went in the favor of Assam. Now the Meghalaya said that these particular territories which went into the Assam, originally they were the part of Meghalaya and they belong to the tribal communities of the Meghalaya, and wrongfully it has been transferred to the Assam. Now at the same time, the Assam said that the Meghalaya had failed to provide any document that this particular region belongs to them. They had not provided any document, so it belongs to Assam only. Okay, so these 3 districts are land of East Jaintia, Ribhoi and the West Khasi Hills. It was transferred to the Karbi Anglong, Kamrup and Kamrup district of the Assam. You don't need to go too much into the hairline detail that, okay, which land went in which area. No, not important for your examination. So this particular dispute came because of these 3 districts, West Khasi, Ribhoi and Jaintia. Now guys, since 1985 there has been the attempts that both the regions should solve this particular boundary dispute that is going on. First serious attempt was made in 1983 and a joint official committee was constituted to deal with this particular issue. Now this joint official committee, okay, it discussed the matter, but nothing concrete came in this particular direction. Then in 1990s also certain attempts were made, but nothing happened up till now. Guys, even in 2019 the Meghalaya made a petition into the Supreme Court that this particular matter is to be solved, but nothing happened. So guys, since 1983 to 2019 many attempts were made, but nothing happened. You don't need to go in every commission that was constituted in this particular thing. Now finally what happened in January 2021, the Home Minister of India, he instructed the northeastern states that there are many disputes between the different states, and by August 15, 2022, by August 15, 2022, find the 70 the when we will be completing the 75 years of independence, all the states should solve their boundary matters. And it was said that a give and take policy is to be decided to settle this particular dispute. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Now this is the time where in either the BJP governments are ruling into the northeast, or there are other governments also, not BJP, but they are little aligned towards the BJP because of their, again, their anti-Congress stand that is there. So now the home minister's word had a lot of weight in this particular time. And what happened guys, on the basis of this particular instruction, three regional committees were constituted for resolving this Assam and Meghalaya dispute. Now what happened, these three committees were constituted, and these three committees worked on five principles, and on to the basis of five principles the boundary were to be settled. What were these five principles? Number one, historical facts will be taken into account, okay, and historical facts from the diverse sources will be taken in account. Then the ethnicity will be seen, that a region, the people living in that region ethnically, whether they are more relatable to Meghalaya or to Assam. So ethnicity will be taken. Then administrative convenience will be kept into the mind. Willingness of the people, whether they want to go in Meghalaya or whether they want to stay in Assam. So willingness of people will be taken. Contiguity of land with natural boundaries. Okay, natural boundaries. For example, the rivers, streams, fine mountains, they make the national boundaries. So on to the basis of natural boundaries also, this particular thing will be decided, and then finally the boundary will be determined. And guys, now the boundary agreement has been signed. Both the states have agreed that they will finalize one particular boundary. Now guys, in this particular direction, okay, though not very much important, but guys, here we can see that around 36.79 square kilometer of area was disputed. Fine, around 18.51 square kilometer had went to basically Assam, and the other part has went to Meghalaya. You don't need to remember this data. No need to remember this particular data. What I wanted to show, that the whatever disputed region was, fine, the compromise has been made in such that around 50% disputed region goes to Assam, around 50% disputed region comes to Meghalaya. But everybody is not happy in this particular thing. Fine, the Meghalaya's certain groups, they said that why this particular 50% part has been given. This entire region belonged to the Meghalaya, and the same thing is being felt in certain groups of Assam also. So this is something that has happened in this particular article. So I hope you have understood it. And now we'll move to the next article. Now this article, again taken from the text and context, the Facebook's cleanup attempt on political messaging. Okay, so this particular article we will be using with respect to the GS paper number 3, the role of social media, in creating narratives. Fine. Now understand guys, before this particular article, some of the background that I'll explain you. If you have followed the newspaper analysis of yesterday, already this particular thing we have discussed. So what is the background? Now guys, the background goes like this, that a parliamentary standing committee had summoned the Facebook and its official. This parliamentary standing committee had said that the Facebook had deliberately given a lot of advantage to the ruling government and the ruling political party. When the elections were there, the advertisements by the ruling government's political party, it was shown more prominently. The opposition members, their ads were not shown prominently. Is it clear or not? And much more importance to the narrative of the ruling party was given by the Facebook. So this parliamentary standing committee had said that the Facebook is not providing the level playing field, and in a way it wants to influence the elections. Such allegations on the Facebook have been made in other countries also. In USA also such allegations have been made on Facebook. So the Facebook's neutrality was questioned. It was said that the Facebook is partisan. Now in this particular, after this particular event guys, what had happened, the Facebook's parent company Meta, they had said that they had came out with certain reforms in their advertisement architecture onto their platform so that such kind of things don't happen again in the future. Now Facebook had provided that number one, they have fine tuned their algorithms, they have fine tuned the artificial intelligence so that it can anticipate threats and can prevent interference into the elections in the future. They say that earlier also we made sure that no interference is there into the elections, but in future if some new threat will come, that particular thing can be identified by the artificial intelligence and machine learning. It has been said that automatically the Facebook can identify the accounts which are spreading the fake information, the fake accounts, the accounts which are carrying the abuse. Such kind of accounts can be removed. Then guys, the Facebook had also provided that now they want to provide the level playing field to all the actors operating onto the Facebook, in the case all the political parties. And they had said that advertising tools, fine, which were earlier available only to big entities, now those advertising tools will be available to the other all the entities. Now guys, let's say there is a party A and there is political party B. Now political party A's budget or advertising budget is very huge. Because of that, it is given access to many of the advertising tools, which is making their advertising more precise, more compact, more targeted. Let's say the B is a small political party, it is having a small advertisement budget, it might not be provided all these particular tools, so then the ad campaign of the B might not be as successful as the ad campaign of A is. So the Facebook has provided that all the advertising tools that are there, which are available to large entities, which will be provided to all the entities, fine, irrespective of the size. Then after that, it has been provided that basically if any particular political party or any person wants to advertise about a social issue, okay, or about a social issue or about a political matter, fine, then they have to complete first of all the authorization process of the Facebook. Is it clear? They have to confirm their location, they have to upload a government photo ID card, they have to put the list from of the account from which they will be using the money. All these particular things has been provided here. After that guys, the next thing that has been provided, that the political advertisements which will violate the policies and standards of the Facebook, as well as if any advertisement has been flagged by the Election Commission of India, then they will be removed, they will not stay on their platform. Clear? So it has been provided. Now guys, basically it has been provided that recently state elections were concluded into the 5 of the states, okay, and if any of the campaign was there which could have basically disturbed the level playing field, then that particular thing will not happen again in the future. Such campaigns will be demoted. So this is something that has been provided. Now moving to the next article. Okay, by the way, good morning. Okay, meanwhile, good morning to everybody. Good morning, Pallavi, Ravina, Pooja, Shivakaran, good morning. Okay, sir, can I use your daily quote in my GS answers while writing conclusions? Yes, if it is going in line with the question that is being asked, yes, obviously you can use them in your answers. Now, the next article, this we have taken from the Hindu page number 1. Now, this article talks about the basically the BIMSTEC meet. Now in the BIMSTEC meet, they what are the certain developments that had come, we are going to discuss in this article. This article will be important with respect to the GS paper number 2 international affairs. It will be important with respect to the neighborhood first policy of India. Now guys, when we talk about the BIMSTEC, fine, in the past 2 days repeatedly we have seen the BIMSTEC's editorials are coming. Why? Because of the BIMSTEC's virtual meet was to happen, which was to be hosted by the Sri Lanka. Now first of all, when we talk about the BIMSTEC, clear, the BIMSTEC guys, it stands for Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. BIMSTEC was created in 1997 and it is a grouping of 7 countries. The 7 countries surrounding the Bay of Bengal, the littoral states around the Bay of Bengal, the 7 countries grouping is BIMSTEC. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Thailand and Myanmar. All these are the members of the BIMSTEC. Now guys, what had happened? In this particular BIMSTEC, the members cooperate with each other on large number of themes. Economic cooperation is there, Okay, cooperation on marine resources is there, cooperation against the trafficking and piracy is there, cooperation on sustainable development is there. Many large number of areas of cooperation is there in the BIMSTEC. But guys, if we talk about the BIMSTEC, up till now the BIMSTEC has not been able to achieve the potential. What it can do, it has not been achieved because much of attention has specifically not been given onto the BIMSTEC. Up till now, even the BIMSTEC charter was not finalized. Now guys, every organization has a particular charter. Into that particular charter, the primary responsibilities, the primary vision, etc., all these things are written in a concrete manner. Now this particular BIMSTEC summit, the BIMSTEC meet that has happened, for the first time, the most important thing that has happened is that the charter of the BIMSTEC has been unveiled. Now the BIMSTEC's charter has been unveiled. Now in this particular BIMSTEC, by the unveiling of this BIMSTEC charter, now the BIMSTEC has, number one, an international personality, it has a emblem, it has its own flag, and it has a formally listed purpose and principles that it is going to achieve. Clear? So BIMSTEC charter has been unveiled, the most important development. Secondly guys, the Prime Minister of India, fine, had also called for a free trade agreement within the members, and because of this free trade agreement, all the members can bring the shared economic prosperity and shared economic growth for the region as well as for their own people. Then after that, the Prime Minister also mentioned that there is a necessity of coastal shipping ecosystem. Okay, the electricity grid interconnectivity between the countries is important, and it will make a kind of a atmanirbharta of the region as a whole. Then the next thing is that basically India will be the security pillar for the BIMSTEC. India will be the net security provider for the region. Physical security, cyber security will India will be providing, and this particular thing goes in line with the neighborhood first policy of India, where the India feels that India has a primary responsibility of protecting its neighbor without expecting anything in return. Then the master plan for transport connectivity. Okay, the declaration on the master plan for transport connectivity was also signed. Now the master plan for transport connectivity, it will try to connect the regional countries with each other through a stream of networks. So this is all the things that have come out of it. Clear? You guys don't need to go too much into the detail. The things that we have discussed here more than sufficient for the exam. Now moving to the next article, India's food response as Vasudev Kutumbakam. Now, guys, this particular article has appreciated India as how India has achieved the food self-sufficiency, and how India's food self-sufficiency can be taken as a lesson by the other countries, particularly the countries into the Latin America and Africa, how they can learn from India. Now, this particular article will be important with respect to GS paper number 3, food security. It could be important with respect to the GS paper number 2 also, that how India can serve as a case study for the world. Now, basically, guys, the article says that now if you also might be knowing it, if you have read about the post-independence Indian history, that in 1960s there was a chronic food shortage going on in India. We were dependent on America, and we used to procure the food from America under the PL 480 scheme. So from this chronic food shortage, we have today become a surplus producer. Today we are partnering with the World Food Program, and through the World Food Program we are providing the support to many number of countries. Is it clear? And guys, as today we are providing the food to so many of the countries, we are helping them to fight their own hunger. India is fulfilling its ideology of Vasudev Kutumbakam. Vasudev Kutumbakam, it is a Sanskrit phrase. It is a Sanskrit phrase which means that the world is one family, and if the world is one family, the problems of the another countries are at the end of the day problem of our own. So India had moved from the chronic food shortage to a surplus nation and providing the food to many other countries. Now guys, understand this particular thing. With the coming of COVID-19 pandemic, the food insecurity has become even more problematic. In 2019, 650 million people around the world suffered from chronic hunger. Now guys, chronic hunger means a persistent hunger where on a regular basis you are not either getting good quality food or you are not getting the sufficient quantity of food or both. Now 650 million people, they are facing the chronic hunger. With the coming of pandemic, the number of people who are onto the brink of starvation, their number has been doubled. The people who are on the brink of starvation, earlier they were 135 million people before COVID-19 and now they have reached to 270. Now guys, India had talked about the Vasudev Kutumbakam in last 75 years multiple times into the UNGA. In this particular direction, we are providing the food assistance to many troubled nations. For example, the Afghanistan, we have sent the food consignment to the Afghanistan after the coming of the Taliban. When the war is going into the Ukraine, there the fuel prices, food prices have increased. There also India is ready to help. Now guys, when we talk about the global burden, there are around 150 million people around the world who are stunted. Now guys, the stunting means when your height is not proportionate to your age, that is the stunting. 50 million people are wasted. 50 million people are wasted. Wasted means when a person's height and a person's weight are not proportionate. With respect to the height, adequate weight is not there, the wasting is there. So 150 million people are stunted and 50 million people are wasted. So many people are into such problem. Now guys, into this particular direction, India has played a humanitarian role and had provided the aid to the Afghanistan. Okay, this is very appreciable. 75,000 metric tons of the food has been provided last year to the Afghanistan in partnership with the World Food Programme. Clear? Then guys, India had sent several missions to the Africa and Middle East also for the food. Fine. Now we have made our progress in this food sufficiency after the success of the Green Revolution. And because of this Green Revolution, in 2020, India produced more than 300 million tons of cereals. And today India is having the food stock of more than 100 million tons. And we are registering the impressive harvest into the past few years. Into the last 4 years, the harvest has been very much good. Okay, and owing to good food harvest, we are also able to ensure the food security of our own people in the times of COVID-19 pandemic. For example, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. Now, through the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, we provided 5 kg food grains extra over and above the National Food Security Act's promise. 5 kg extra food grain were provided to more than 800 million beneficiaries. Okay, why it became possible? Because of the food self-sufficiency that we have achieved. Moreover guys, today we see there are many of the laws, legislation such as the National Food Security Act, which provides the right to food. We have the targeted public distribution system by which we are reaching to the people. Midday meal schemes are being operated into the school. ICDS, integrated child development services there. All of them are providing the food to more than 1 billion people. And by these laws, by the institutions that we have created, the countries of other Asian countries, African countries, Latin American countries can learn a large number of valuable lessons from India, that how to carry forward with the land reforms, how to reorient their public investments, how to reorient their infrastructure. They can learn a lot of lessons from India. Now guys, it has been provided that India is ready to support the neighbors who are facing the food emergencies, food insecurities. For example, the Sri Lanka. Right now, Sri Lanka is facing a lot of crisis. There is a food insecurity going on into the Sri Lanka. India is ready to support it. Clear? Stockholm International Peace Research Institution had provided that the World Food Programme. Now guys, the World Food Programme, it is a food assistance branch of the United Nations. It is the largest humanitarian organization which provides the food to large number of people around the world. This World Food Programme has also been given the Nobel Prize in the category of peace in 2020. So World Food Programme had brought peace in many regions by providing the food to the distressed populations there. and India has an important partner under the WFP. So this is an important role of the India that has been appreciated in this particular article. Clear? So guys, I hope that you have understood it. Now we'll move to the next article. Identity and privacy. So this particular article, guys, taken again from the Hindu editorial section. Now this particular article, it is talking about the recently introduced Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022. So already, if you are following the newspaper analysis regularly, we have discussed that this particular bill has been raised in parliament, and because of this particular bill's introduction, a lot of controversy has also developed. Now, first of all, what this particular bill is. Now, by this particular bill, Union government proposes that it will collect the biometric and biological data from the prisoners. Fine. Now, guys, when we talk about the prisoners who are in the jail, their measurements or their measurements are taken. Now, into this particular measurement, their fingerprints, their footprints can be taken. And for that particular thing, since 1920, there has been a law under which the footprints, the fingerprints of the prisoners can be taken. But now, this Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022 that has been passed, government wants to increase the ambit of the measurements that can be taken from the person. Now they want to include the biometric and biological data. For example, they want that apart from the fingerprints, the iris scan can be taken, the retina scan can be taken. Okay, number one thing, they want to take much more by personal information or a personal data or a personal measurements of a person A. Number two, the types of cases in which they want to take such kind of measurements, they want to increase that also. Now let's understand that what is exactly the problem coming in this, what is the controversy that has developed. Number one, it has been said that this particular bill is impacting the judgment given by the Supreme Court into the Puttaswamy case. Now, multiple times I have explained you that the Puttaswamy case was the case where the right to privacy was recognized as a fundamental right. Now guys, it has been said that by such kind of data that government is taking, a person's privacy will get impacted, because guys, it has been provided that the data that will be taken, it can be kept into the database for next 75 years. So for 75 years the data can be stored, it will impact the privacy. Secondly, it has been said that it will also lead to the violation of Article 20 subclause 3 of the Indian Constitution. Now Article 23 protects from the self-incrimination. Self-incrimination means that a person becoming a witness for himself, a person implicating himself. Okay, so the self-incrimination has been protected. Fine, you cannot compel a person for the self-incrimination, and the protection has been given under Article 20 subclause 3. So it will lead to self-incrimination when so much of data will be taken up. Now guys, it has been provided that the 1920 law, the old law that was there, under which the measurements were taken from the convicts. Okay, now there the measurements can be taken. It enabled the taking the measurements from the convicts only the ones who are sentenced to a prison term of 1 year and above. If a person is jailed for less than 1 year, the measurements will not be taken. Secondly, and anyone arrested on a charge that attracts such a prison term. And thirdly, one who has furnished a bond for good behavior and peace. Okay, now what has happened? This new bill that is coming here, there is no such kind of conditions. Anybody fine into the jail, their data can be taken. Even the people who have been put for the preventive detention into the jail, their data can also be taken. So the limitations that were there into the 1920 law, it has been removed, and it will lead to the dilution of the privacy of the citizen. That is something which has been provided in this particular article. Clear? So guys, that is all. Apart from it, nothing more is there. And now we'll move to the next article. Shifting sands. Now this particular article, guys, has been taken from the editorial section of the Hindu newspaper, and this particular article, it is talking about the recent meet that had happened into the Israel. So guys, in the Israel, the conference had happened between the USA and the 4 Arab countries. Now first of all, let's see that which 4 countries have participated. So number one, the USA has been there. The meet happened within the Israel, so obviously the Israel was a party. And then apart from the Israel, there was the UAE, then there was the Bahrain, there was Morocco, and there were the Egypt who had participated. In this particular meet, the countries have discussed that how their security can be stabilized, and here the Israel had provided that how Israel can play an important role. And in this particular direction, the Israel said that they will create a Middle East defensive envelope. Middle East defensive envelope. The Israel had said that the Israel is having the advanced missile defense system, and by using this advanced missile defense system, the Israel can be the guarantor of security for this entire region. Now this is the meet that had happened, not that much important for us. What are the kind of a specific details of that deal, not directly relevant, but guys, underlying message is very important here. Now understand, sir, first of all, two things. Now guys, now first of all, you see the countries, the UAE, Bahrain, etc. Now the UAE, Bahrain would not have talked with the Israel if 2020 Abraham Accords would not have happened. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that the Israel and the Arab world, Israel and the Arab world, they are not on good terms with each other, because the Arab world says that the Israel has illegally occupied their territories. Arab says that the Palestinian territories have been acquired by the Israel. Israel says that no, we had returned back to our home. We have not acquired the Palestinian territories. So onto the matter of Palestine, the Israel and Arab are not having the good relations. But now guys, the slowly what has happened, the Arab and Israel relations have become normalized, and the majority these particular relations have been largely normalized because of the Abraham Accords of 2020 that has been signed. Now what are these Abraham Accords? Now guys, the Abraham Accords had provided for the establishment of diplomatic relations, normalization of relation between the Israel and UAE, Bahrain. Clear? So before that Abraham Accords of 2020, the relations between the Israel, UAE and Bahrain were not normalized. Now the relations have become normalized, and because the relation has now become normalized, the diplomatic talks are happening, and on this particular line, the recent diplomatic talk into the Israel had happened. Now guys, as this particular diplomatic talk is going, where directly the Arab and Israel are talking, what has been said, that America's traditional role has been undercut. Now earlier the America, now see here America is facing two challenges. Earlier the America were to be the provider of the security umbrella. Clear? Earlier the America had an agreement that with the Middle East, America will procure the oil, and in exchange of oil, America will be the security guarantor. But now this particular role is being taken up by the Israel. Why? Number one, now the Israel is getting its relations normalized. Secondly, Israel is having a lot of technological capabilities. Its defense capabilities are very good. Okay, there is no question on to that. Secondly, America's security guarantees have failed recently into the past. For example, guys, in 2019, what had happened? The drone attacks happened onto the Saudi Arabia's oil installations, the largest and the most strategic oil installation of Saudi Arabia. They were attacked. There what happened? The America blamed the Iran, even the Saudi Arabia blamed the Iran, but nothing happened. The Donald Trump at that point of time did nothing. After that, the Yemen's Houthis, okay, they have carried the multiple attacks onto the installations, but the USA had not been able to do much. So the America's role of a security guarantor has been undermined. Secondly, guys, basically today onto the Iran also, the difference are coming between the America as well as between the other countries. Now see what will be the role of Iran, and what will be about the revival of the Iran nuclear deal. Now see, Iran nuclear deal, I have told you multiple number of times. Just I think yesterday or day before yesterday also, there was an article onto the joint comprehensive plan of action, or onto the Iran nuclear deal. We have seen this particular thing, that over the past Iran had enriched the uranium, and it has been accused that the Iran will use this enriched uranium in developing a nuclear bomb. So the Iran's nuclear development are to be stalled. Fine. Now for that, the joint comprehensive plan of action was signed in 2015, but now the joint comprehensive plan of action has been demolished. Why? Because the Donald Trump withdrew from the joint comprehensive plan of action. USA wants that this nuclear deal which got in trouble because of the Donald Trump. Now this deal is to be revived. The USA expects that we will stall the nuclear program of Iran, and in turn we will lift the economic sanctions. But if economic sanctions will be removed from the Iran, what will happen? Iran will become economically prosperous, and that thing will not be liked by the Israel. That thing will not be liked by the other countries such as Saudi Arabia. They want that the Iran should not become an economic powerhouse. And if Iran nuclear deal got revived, what will happen? The sanctions will be removed and Iran will become an economic power. So the USA's perception on the Iran and the Saudi Arabia, Israel, other countries' perception onto the Iran are different. This is bringing a kind of a difference of opinion. And because of this particular thing also, the USA's role is getting declined into this particular region. And into the near future, we can see that the Israel and Arab might come more even together, and the USA's role might get even more declined. So this is something that has been provided in this article. So guys, that is all about it. And now we'll move to the next article. Now, race to the bottom for gig workers. So this article we have taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it will be important with respect to the GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, economic issues. Now, first of all, I'll tell you the context of this particular article. So guys, what had happened recently, the Zomato had tweeted that in the near future, Zomato is looking to the model where the food will be delivered in less than 10 minutes. Now, if you know, many of the grocery apps have come. For example, the Blinkist, what it provides that your food, your groceries will be delivered in less than 10 minutes. Such kind of apps are other also. For example, the Zepto, they guarantee a 10-minute delivery. Now, these 10-minute delivery apps, they are not able to understand the condition of the workers who will be delivering the food, who will be delivering the grocery. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that first of all, we call this as a platform industry. Now the Ola, Uber, Zomato, Swiggy, all these players, all this particular industry created by these players, it is called as platform industry. Platform industry, they have made a online platform, an app. Onto this particular app, the delivery agents, the hotels, okay, the people who want to buy the food, they are interacting. So it is called as platform industry. Now guys, these workers, the food delivery agents, the drivers working in Ola, Uber, they are also called as gig workers. What is gig? Gig is a kind of a agreement on where the short-term engagements are there, particularly onto the basis of assignment. Clear? So the gig economy is a section of economy consisted where the people are in relation for the short-term assignments and short-term engagements. So we call this entire ecosystem created by the apps such as the Zomato, Swiggy, Ola, Uber, we call it as a gig sector of country. We call it as a platform sector, platform economy. Many such kind of names are there. Now into the platform industry, the efficiency is very much important, and particularly into the delivery apps, the efficiency is even more important in how less time you are delivering. So cost reduction is to be done, speed is to be increased. Now as the cost reduction is there and the speed is to be increased, all these particular things impact the platform worker, delivery partner. If you want to reduce the cost, what will happen? Many times the wages given to these people will be reduced. Who will suffer? The worker. Or sometimes as the speed is to be increased, obviously when they are delivering the food in less than 10 minutes, what happens? They might not be able to follow the traffic norms. Many a times they might be taking the shortcuts, or they might be taking those routes which might not be very much safe. So this is having a kind of a problem. Now guys, the platform workers working in these particular apps, they face a large number of problems. Number one, their earnings have been very much less. Now see, these platforms, Zomato, Swiggy, they say that we are giving good salaries, good decent, but what they tell are the gross earnings. Okay, now the gross earnings and the net earning are different. Now the net earnings, okay, gross earning is something that a person is getting. For example, 10,000 rupees money a Swiggy delivery agent is getting. Now from that 10,000 he has to deduct many expenditures. For example, the money he is spending onto the fuel, the money he is spending onto the maintenance of his vehicle, fine, or such other kind of cost will be there. So this maintenance cost, depreciation cost, taxes, levies, fine, it reduces real earning so much. These delivery agents such as a Zomato, Swiggy, etc. provides that they have provided employment to 5 lakh delivery partners. But what they are saying, or whatever earnings they are claiming, they out of that just 40% is the money that a delivery agent is getting. Other 60% is being spent just into the fuel or other capital cost. Moreover, it has been provided that the working conditions are also not very much good. There is a working intensity is very much high. These delivery agents are working for more than 13 hours a day. They are basically covering a distance of more than 190 kilometers a day, and by this particular thing they become very much prone to the occupational injuries, occupational ill effects that could be there. So these agents, their welfare needs to be kept as a center concern. Efficiency could be kept aside for a time. Welfare is important. This is something that has been talked in this particular article. I hope guys you understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. India Germany discuss Ukraine situation. Now see, you don't need to go too much into the detail in this particular article. Now, yesterday also I have explained you this particular thing, that large number of foreign dignitaries have visited India into the past, and they will be visiting in coming days also. Why everybody is coming to India? It is because of the Ukraine situation. Now guys, understand, just it is a one line concept. Different resolutions have been moved into the United Nation General Assembly, United Nations Security Council, United Nation Human Right Council. In all these matters, the Russia has been called as an aggressor. Russia has been accused that Russia has deliberately carried the attacks onto the Ukraine. Now when the India is being talked about in all these particular resolution, what India has done? India has abstained its vote. India has neither called Russia is aggressor, nor India had supported the Russia. India has abstained on this particular vote. Now guys, as India has kept a position of abstention, what is happening? Different members from dignitaries from the western countries, they are visiting India, and all of them has one expectation, that India will change its stand and India will join the band of the western countries, and India will vote in favor when the Russia is to be called as an aggressor. India will vote. Now in this particular direction guys, what had happened? The Germany's foreign and security advisor has visited India. Okay, now what he has done? Number one, he had said that we are not here to preach or teach India. He says that we are not here to preach or teach India that what is to be done or not, but at the same time he is preaching again. What he says? He says that we expect that the Russian invasion, which is a blatant violation of international norms, would not go unchecked. Clear, would not go unchecked. He says that it would not go unchecked, and he expects that India will vote against the Russia in this particular resolution if it will be moved again. Further guys, we have seen over the past few days that Russian ruble agreement was coming into the news, where it was said that Russia is offering the oil at discount and India should buy that oil from the Russia. Now what has happened on that particular thing? What the German envoy had said? He said that we expect that there will be no backfiling on the sanctions that we operate, and no friendly country in the world would take the step of taking economic advantage of the war. So India is looking to buy the oil from Russia at a discount. They said that no country, no friendly country would take the economic advantage. What indirectly is being said, that you should not buy the oil. Fine, this is something that has happened. Now guys, see, we have seen that the German's foreign advisor and the security advisor had come. Now the USA's deputy NSA national security advisor and sanction strategist, then the Mexican foreign minister, okay, they are also be visiting the India today, Thursday, fine. And then what will happen? The Russia's foreign minister is going to visit. Okay, why all of them are coming? Just so that the India joins on their side. But up till now, India has not taken any particular stand. India says that we have the strategic autonomy. Whosoever we want, we can join. And in that line of strategic autonomy, fine, we are not favoring or we are not against any one person, any one country. This is the stand of India till now. So that is all, guys, about this particular article. Okay, and with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. These are all the important articles. I hope that you have understood. So that is all for today. Thank you so much. And guys, if you are liking the initiative, please do